Welcome to episode 22 of Soccerheads New England. I'm Dave Rattigan, alongside Paul Nardizzi, our engineer Dale, our guest Ben Schwartzman. Ben, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Ben's a soccer coach, soccer player. He's got a great initiative that combines two things that I know absolutely nothing about, soccer and cryptocurrency. And Paul is an expert on both of those things, or so he says. So we'll test that. And you're going to be shocked to know we have another co-host, Jim Ruberti, but Jim never shows up.
Got it. So I'm replacing Jim today.
Huh?
You're replacing Jim.
You're not really replacing Jim. You're just here because Jim's never here.
Replacing Jim is actually a papier-mâché version of Jim that I made at home. He's put on the chair next to me. It actually brings something to the table that Jim doesn't, and that's that it is actually at the table this week.
Yeah, and it's got probably stronger, better opinions.
Yeah.
More knowledge, probably better on penalty kicks.
Ben has been here almost as much as Jim, put it that way.
Yeah, Ben, congratulations. Your 6 minutes pretty much matches what the co-host has got since, what is this, 22 episodes? No, we're being rough on him. He's probably been here for at least 2.
If Jim ever decides to jump in on your little venture, because I know it's open to people jumping in, you should think about blocking him.
Yeah. Although he's got a ton of money. He's loaded. He's loaded with that.
He doesn't share it with us.
No, it doesn't share it with us.
He brings in money and doesn't contribute in any way. I'll still take the money. So.
That's said like a true Babson graduate. So before we get to you or the big tournament going on this week, check us out at soccerheadsnewengland.com, our Facebook page, or our email to us at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. We want to plug a few things before we get started, Ben. Soccerheads New England is sponsored by financial advisor Rick Spencer, 978-857-7573. That's 978-857-7573. Rick speaks at free seminars for soccer clubs, the leagues, etc., etc. He's got a couple of kids who played soccer who went to college and are doing pretty well for themselves. And he's also my financial advisor. And with his guidance, Paul, the only fish I buy are goldfish.
Now, normally, last week you laughed at your own joke. That's a no-no.
I know.
This week,
I know.
I don't know if you heard, but Fake Jim was laughing.
Fake Jim, I did notice.
He thought it was funny.
Fake Jim so far has been my best audience in the room.
Yes.
To have Rick come speak to your club, team, league, or group, or to check out one of his free seminars in your area, call him at 978-857-7573. Also, if your organization needs to raise money and you want to have a great time doing it, you should hire the Soccerheads Experience. More than a comedy show, it's an event with soccer-themed humor and all kinds of other extras. If you want to make money and have fun, email Jim at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. All right, so let's get to Ben. I got to tell you this initiative is fascinating to me because here's what I know about cryptocurrency. Nobody understands it. Nobody can explain it. And the people who try to explain it, their heads hurt.
Yeah, I would say it's something like that. Definitely not the biggest fan of explaining it, but we'll try to do so today.
Excellent.
I'm not a big fan of money that I can't actually put in my wallet and touch.
Yeah.
Like you go to the strip club, the strippers don't go for that. I don't have any cash on me line, but I just send some Dogecoin to your crypto wallet. That's not going to fly.
You don't just Venmo them $2.
You can try
periodically. What's your Venmo? I'm going to call the bouncer. Actually, I don't have a stripper voice. That's my stripper voice.
Oh, is that? Well, okay.
Ben, do you have a stripper voice?
I definitely do not have a stripper voice.
That's something they probably don't ask in most interviews.
Yeah, definitely not.
Have you done a lot of interviews for this?
Did not have any interviews.
Okay, so this is your first.
This is my first guest podcast.
The maiden voyage.
Experience.
Okay, great. This will be, you'll probably give up the whole venture after this.
I doubt that. Got a lot of big plans for Civitas. So
yeah, explain the idea to us
and to our listener. He wants to.
Yeah, our listener, and don't forget Fake Jim when you explain it.
Of course. So essentially, what Civitas Football Club is bringing a community together of soccer lovers with the mission to buy a professional team.
That part I love. That sounds really interesting and really cool. Where?
So that's a great question. So we do not know where the first step in this process to actually build out a community. So a lot of people to understand what we're trying to do. And then after, once we're able to secure funds, then we're already going to be looking into various acquisitions depending on current regulations, depending on the country, depending on what the community itself wants to do. So let's say we build out a community of a lot of English Premier League fans, then maybe we'll go and look and want to purchase a team in second, third division championship for the possibility of taking that team into the Premier League. So it really depends on what the community wants and where we'll be at that point with different regulations depending on the country.
Okay, and you're going to fund it through crypto, NFTs.
Correct.
How would it work? Let's say this.
You can point at me. I have a couple bucks.
I'm fine. All right.
Don't be shy.
Paul wants to invest. How much does Paul invest in NFT? How much in dollars does Paul invest?
Yeah. So the way we're looking at it now, and we're several months away from actually doing a NFT release.
Okay.
So our first round of funding, I shall say, and we want to do it by tiers. So people are going to be able to choose, whether they want to buy a certain NFT that has more utility in terms of giving you more decision making in the organization as a whole, as well as, potentially other things that come with holding this NFT, essentially a ticket or a membership into the community. And so we don't have set prices yet. That'll depend on how big our community becomes. But from what I've seen other NFT collections and other communities do things like this, it can be anywhere between like a few $100 to a few $1,000.
But could someone decide, for example, Dale over here has got some money laying around, he wants to put in millions. Would that allow him more of a say, or you're not looking for someone to take over?
Yeah, so we have thought about this a bit, and I think our goal is to try and get more smaller people involved, but at the same time is that big investment could really boost the actual mission of accomplishing buying a team. So we got to think about how we want to do that, but definitely we don't want there to be major players that are going to be controlling the decision making. We're trying to stay away from that.
Dale, you're out.
Yeah.
I just want to say what's great is about this is, and you can't do this in American sports, you can't buy, like he's talking about, a third division team and end up in the NBA. There is no relegation system. But in Europe, it's great. You can do this, and then if he does it right and acquires the right players, end up with a UEFA championship team if everything went perfect. You can't do that in America. You buy a team in the minor leagues, it's not moving up. It's just a minor league team.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's great.
That's a great point.
What is the difference, do you know this, between buying a Premiership team and the cost of a third division team? Is it 3 times as much? Is it 8 times? Do you have an idea?
Oh, it's probably even more than that.
Really?
The difference is huge, but there's so many divisions. Like in England,
It's like 7 or 8, isn't it?
oh yeah, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
And I think if you try and get a team from the 7th, 8th division, that's definitely reasonable. That's, let's say, around $1 million, I would say. Or maybe more depending on if they, have the stadium asset underneath them or whatever. But, the English Premier League teams are in the billions now. So
Right.
it's completely different.
You had a thought, Dave?
I did. I wanted to backtrack a little bit just to mention one thing about Dale, and I know you don't know this, Ben, but Dale's a retired cop, so yeah, if he does invest, you should just understand that the money that you get is going to be marked evidence, and he's wondering if you take cocaine and weapons.
Yeah, we're trying to launder a few dollars through your business.
And by the way, Ben, if you're by any chance wearing a wire, like Dale's going to pick it up because he's on top of that stuff. So I know you're Russian, and sometimes I know you guys tried to rig an election. Personally,
There are a lot of issues with Russia right now too. So
personally, I was it didn't affect my vote. I was always with the Kremlin before I even saw the contestants, as I call them, in our election. But Dale's on top of stuff, so
Yeah, absolutely. I was a part of the white collar crime unit in law enforcement for many years, so I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Got it. Good to know.
And we hope you feel welcome here.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really make
I
sense.
fit right in.
It wouldn't make sense to wear a wire since we record this anyways, but I just throwing it out there.
All right, so moving on. So Ben, let me ask you this: you're a young guy, but compared to me, everybody's a young guy. Compared to Paul, you don't know how old Paul is. He's one of these ageless guys. He looked just as old and wrinkled back when I first met him 25 years ago as he looks now. But you're how far removed from Babson are you?
I am now a little over 2 years removed. So,
Okay.
yeah, 23 right now. Graduated. Yeah, a little over 2 years ago.
So you get your undergrad. You thought to yourself, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a Ponzi scheme, and I'm going to do it through the interweb.
Yeah.
How many of the core group are fellow Babson students, and how many are from other schools?
Two. So right now I have two really close buddies from Babson who I'm doing this with, but everybody else is from all over.
Really?
I mean, I'm really trying to just connect with as many people I used to play soccer with, get them involved. Really, anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know everybody eventually, but I'm saying
Yeah.
what started with just you and some fellow Babson students.
Yeah, it started probably with like 5 of us. 3 of us were Babson.
And are all 5 still involved?
Yep.
Okay. And
Everybody.
all soccer players?
Yep.
Okay.
Or some maybe not soccer players, but have been obsessed with soccer since they were, 5 years old.
Okay.
Dave doesn't understand the term obsessed with soccer, by the way. I do.
I understand obsessed.
doesn't.
I understand obsessed. Just the with soccer part is the part
Yeah.
that I.
And Ben, I know your parents very well. They're great people. Are they involved? Are they in the community?
I don't know if they joined the Discord,
Okay.
just like most people who are still trying to figure it out,
Yeah,
just
me
like I was a few months ago.
Yeah.
But they're definitely in support of the bigger mission.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do launch the NFT, I'm hoping everybody close to me wants to join in and support the cause, because, again, it's not like we're taking this money. This money is in a treasury, so it's being held. If anybody wants to take out this money or sell their NFT, they're able to. It's just like, a house, just like in the article, it's an asset that you can do whatever you want with.
Right.
But you're giving it to the bigger mission.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be in the treasury. So let's say I put my money into an NFT. It's going to be a picture.
So yes, we don't know the exact design
Can I
of the
make a
NFT,
suggestion?
but
Can I make a suggestion?
it will be a digital.
I think if you put
Item.
Paul's face on your NFT, there'll be a lot of people who'll be like, "What's that?" I'll get it.
It's intriguing, I know.
It's a very intriguing face. It's
I'll
like
think about it.
you look at it and you're like, "Wow!" It's almost like a rock formation.
What about me making out with fake Jim? That would definitely draw some eyes.
That would definitely draw some eyes. You guys can brainstorm after the session. Were you? I know Babson is good business school. Were you in a business major?
Yeah, I studied mostly finance and entrepreneurship.
Okay, finance and entrepreneurship, like a double major, or was it one major, or is it just?
I mean, it was kind of just focuses. Babson didn't really do quote unquote majors.
Okay.
I just focused in those primary subjects.
Have you?
I coached Ben in high school, by the way.
Yep.
AMSA Academy, Advanced Math Science Academy.
Advanced Math
The
Science
number
Academy?
one rated high school in America when you were there.
Yeah, was
Yes.
Oh, can you do my taxes?
it? Oof, I don't know. I don't even do my own taxes.
Yeah, I'm just kidding about that. I've got a tax guy. You want to help? You want to help me, Paul? It's Rick Spencer. It's our sponsor, Rick Spencer. And because of Rick,
Fill in the blank.
I'm out of jokes. Yeah.
So Ben, when you were at AMSA, did you have this idea then, or this was something that came up later?
Yeah, this was something much later. I mean, obviously, as a kid, everybody who's into soccer, who's into sports in general, always dreams of being involved, whether it's, coaching or owning a team or obviously playing. But that definitely didn't work out. I just saw this opportunity this last year and a half of what people in the space were doing within Web3, within crypto, and realized this was just possible. So the idea kind of just came to me within the last year.
Have you done any entrepreneurial endeavors previously?
Yeah. So back in college, I started an organic energy drink with my cousin. did
Oh,
that.
yes. I've had a few. I forgot about this. Yes.
Yeah. For Purpose Energy. And then recently, I also kind of started a beverage consulting business that is no longer a business, but made some decent money, I guess, with it. But decided to move on, and now this.
Did your energy drink, did you continue the business? Did you sell the business? Or did it run its course?
Yeah, so it's still going to come back, but we just ran into production issues. So closed down for a while, didn't restock. And just now my cousin's planning on doing a restock, a new launch of product. So I'm excited for that. But my role in it is very minimal just because I moved on to other projects that I'm more interested in.
I've actually I had a family meeting one night, and Ben came over to hang out with my kids, and he had a case of it. We all sucked down several of them. It's actually very good.
Oh, yeah.
I was bouncing off the walls for the next few hours.
Just say.
And Ben's smart, I was never a good I never had a nose for business. I actually invested in payphones the day before the entire world bought cell phones. Okay, this is true. I invested in payphones.
You invested in payphones?
Yes.
You
Two
said
of
these cell phones are just a fad?
I thought they were. I was still using payphones. I thought everybody else was. No. But
That is
I
true.
do want
That
a
is- that's
minority
probably-
stake in this soccer thing. Now, if you had a choice, Ben, if you could pick a country to have a team in, do you have a favorite?
Oof, that's a great question. I would say just based on current trends and where the Premier League is in terms of money in the league and what it's built with the media, I would say England. Maybe, I don't know, in general, I feel like Europe's on the rise and they haven't really tapped in fully into like the sponsorship space. So there's a lot more money there, but yeah, I would say one of Europe's like top leagues, or not top leagues, just countries that have one of those 5 top leagues.
What if, for example, a USL team came available? Is that something you'd consider? Or you'd prefer to go to the soccer mad countries in Europe?
USL is definitely an option.
Really?
I think, or any league right now is an option for us because we're so early. We don't know yet. It'll just really depend on where most of our community comes from. Like where most of the people that join come from, I think they're going to really drive.
So if Paul invests in a team and you get a USL team, can his kid play on the team?
Oh, I was thinking of that. As I know the owner. Yeah, I am the owner.
Hey, we can work something out. You can vote for your own kid to play and try and get the rest of the community on board with that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about this that I would see as a potential obstacle. Don't you have to have a physical presence in the community that you pick or the city, the metropolitan area that you pick? You have to have a physical stadium. You have to have boots on the ground, so to speak, to sell these, to do the business of the team, to sell the sponsorships, to sell the tickets, to do all of these things. I mean, what would your idea be? You get a big enough base of people, and then, I mean, I know probably you're going to get a big enough base of people, fake your own death, and go to Latin America. But if you didn't do that, is the idea that you would build a big enough nest egg, so to speak, to be able to buy in, and then you would just move?
So, yeah, that's a great question, and I've seen how some other organizations similar to us are trying to do this. For any team, one of the most important things is the local community.
Yeah.
So they definitely have to be a very important player in all of this. And so when we do go about the acquisition, we want to be getting the local community involved. And absolutely, we'll have people, having to go there and having to run certain operations, and that's just going to happen as the community builds.
But doesn't there have to be will from the community? Let's call them the community players, and by that I mean bankers and businessmen and others. Because you move a professional sports team, at least in the United States, you move a professional sports team into a city. The idea is that the economic benefit spreads around the blocks around. The stadium have restaurants, and the restaurants do better, and the housing prices go up, and there's a benefit all around for the business community. I mean, how do you do that if you're living virtually? If you're living in a virtual world, how do you do that in the real world without ties to the community? And I understand you could be I don't want to say carpetbagger, but you could be a rich person who moves your team, as they've done it here, to Vegas, to this city, to that city. but there's always connections made before they move. So I guess the first question I have is how do you do that without those connections? And then the second question is, how many cities are there that would be appropriate for a professional team at a higher level than, I think of it in terms of baseball, single A ball.
Exactly. The idea is to buy a team. Like right now, there's so many teams that, are bankrupt or have issues that are going for sale well below what they're really worth. So there's a lot of opportunities there, but there will always be acquisition opportunities, like all over.
Okay,
Sounds like Dave wants you to get on a plane and fly wherever you're going to be.
I-
You can always you can do that, or you can take a page from my book and just have a fake Ben and just do Zooms, and they'll assume you're over there doing the job.
Yeah. You could make, I got a perfect guy to be your team president, Jim, the real Jim. He'd be an absentee president, and you could always reach him on his boat fishing. All right, so this is, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. When you were saying that there was a community of supporters, I thought that you were going to found a team and create a team in a community. So you would take a team that's bankrupt, but isn't there also a thing isn't there a reason that some teams are bankrupt?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When you go in to do an acquisition, there's so much due diligence you have to do. So I don't know exactly how that will look like, but by building out this community, by getting people involved within the soccer space that already know how to do this, we would ideally easily be able to understand and tap into that market and know that this is a good acquisition to do.
Okay. Do you have a concern? And none of you have run a team before. None of you have any of you worked in sports marketing or sports operations before?
No, the core group of us, no.
Okay, and if I guess the question is, let's say Bruce Arena, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, of course.
Let's say he sees it and says, I would love to have some NFTs with Paul Nardizzi's picture on it. So he invests heavily, and now he wants to have a little bit of say in how your team is run. Him you'd listen to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We want to listen to the whole community, and we want to bring people on like Bruce Arena and people who are in the soccer space to, be able to advise us, be able to advise the whole community on what the right things are.
But then what happens if somebody invests, we'll just say like a soccer version of Bill Belichick, and he says, I want to put my kids in charge, and I want my kids to run things. And the kids might have proven that they don't have the same track record. Or let's say somebody like Dale invests a ton of money, and he's a big fish, and he's like, I know a good way to win. We can kidnap the opponent's best players, or some crazy idea that Dale would have. Is there a concern that you're going to get somebody who's going to basically buy his way in or buy her way in and then ruin the team, or have too much control, or just maybe have ideas that don't work?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and that's something that will thankfully never be able to happen because of Web3, because of the technology, because the way it works is we are creating a protocol of how people are going to be voting on these decisions. And that's something that cannot be changed. And this is something we're building, is the proper structure to make these decisions. So even if you have somebody that'll come in with a lot of money, yeah, maybe they'll have some more governance say, but at the end of the day is they are equal in the community to everybody else. And so when you do make those governing decisions on bringing players on or bringing new managers, everybody as a whole votes. So unless they're able to somehow, pay off some people to make those decisions, I guess.
That sounds like Dale. That does sound like Dale. So you're saying that if Dale has 51%, let's say you've got 100 Paul Nardizzi NFTs, Dale buys 51, or maybe he buys 67 of these Paul Nardizzi NFTs. He can't control the voting?
No, it depends how we structure it. So first off, he probably won't even be able to buy that many NFTs because there will be, a limit. But let's say
that's a big evidence room that he's got access.
There's a lot of things that I know, Ben. A lot of things. I'm just not the sound and mic guy.
Again, this is all a work in progress in terms of how it'll actually, be played out, how it'll be structured. But all these things that you point out are things, we definitely consider, and we're trying to actually established within the protocol so that these things aren't able to happen at all.
So as far as the Glazers, right? The Glazers were not. Do they still own the team?
I think so.
So they don't love American owners. So do you think there's certain countries that you have a better chance of getting the community involved versus, for example, England, where they would prefer an English person to own their?
Yeah, no, we definitely seen that play out in real life. So there is this one group. It's like these bunch of American investors who are trying to buy like a second or third division English team, and they're having trouble with the local community because the local community doesn't want these guys from America, who have loads of money to come in and
are they trying
take
to do
over
it the
their
same
team.
way you are, though, or they're coming in with money?
Yeah, they're doing it differently. So
Okay.
they're not letting people come in. They're kind of just their little ownership group
Right.
that's doing it and trying to get other people involved in the local community involved, but it's not true decentralized ownership like how we're trying to do it.
So it sounds like if you're competing with them, I like your model better if I'm over there because you're saying, okay, well, you're American, but I get a little say, whereas he's just coming in with his cash.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But am I correct also, and this is one of the things that I was really intrigued by, is the idea that you could have, theoretically, this will go international, right? This movement will go international, so you'll have,
We already do, yeah.
okay, so where do you have people, have you got anybody invested yet?
Me, I'm in.
I'm sorry.
I'm in. I joined, and I'm actually going to get some money out of the payphones when I get home. I'm going to throw that into.
All right.
It's still operational. If anyone needs to make a call,
So,
I can give you the address.
somebody invest now?
So no, we're not taking investment right now. We're again really focused on just educating people on what we're doing and getting people involved within just the community, spreading the word about us.
So where's your outreach been to? What countries?
So we started out with a decent Twitter presence. One of my friends, he's a big Inter Milan fan who's part of the community. And so he has, these followers from all around the world following his page, talking about Inter Milan. So we got, a bunch of Europeans now. We got people from South America, from Brazil. Again, we're still small, but the word spreads pretty quickly through
Right.
social media.
Well, you're 23, so I'm sure this won't be $1 billion operation until probably not till October, November. But
You haven't seen the traffic at my payphones, Dave.
I'm sure that
They're in spots where the cell phone usage it doesn't work. So you need to make a.
I will invest.
He's ignoring
if you
me.
if you take a picture, if you get a picture of Paul standing with a payphone with his headband on
We're gonna get to the headband.
for the
in a second.
Fortnite. What's it? The Fortnite facility.
Foskins, yeah.
So basically, if you're a soccer fan anywhere, you can invest in this. You can put it into the fund. You become an owner. I would say it reminded me originally of I don't know if you remember this, but the Boston Celtics at one point sold stock in the team. And so a lot of people bought, a piece of stock so they could hang it on their wall because they were Celtic fans. And
Yeah.
I think they wound up buying, did they wind up buying it back? They might have bought it back. But Green Bay, the people from the community own the team. So the idea of this is you're just going to put together the funds, and then when you have enough money, you'll go to try to buy and you'll go to buy a team, you'll go to put a management team in place, and then you'll try to make it profitable.
No, essentially that's exactly what we're doing. It's going to take, a bunch of steps in between that, but the big goal is to exactly what exactly what you said. And I think the potential with this goes beyond even owning one team.
Yeah.
You have the City Football Group. We actually, on our podcast last week, brought on a guest who's working for another company that acquires football teams and helps them manage. At the end of the day, what I think we can become, and obviously this is insanely optimistic, but, I can see this being more than just one team, but a franchise of teams that
I was going to ask you that if you were thinking of maybe buying more than one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If we're able to prove out that this type of governance model is able to work to take a team and be successful with that team, then why not buy another one?
Well, why give everybody the same voting rights if you have some people who are really smart with soccer and some people who really don't know?
Yeah.
It seems like you can get bogged down in, without a management team at the center, it seems like you might have problems down the road with getting things done.
Definitely, no. And, we definitely have to think about the right way to structure this governance model in terms of the people, let's say, early on, like us, who are contributing and building it out and actually understand soccer and showing that they understand it within the community. You're right, they should have more of a say. So we're trying to create that right model to enable a proper system to work.
Okay.
And, we're just going to have to figure it out. And the space, the Web3 space, other ideas that are working on similar projects of, owning a team. One that I work closely with, a basketball team. This group, similar to us, is trying to do the same thing, but with the NBA. By, the end goal is to purchase an NBA team.
How much does it cost to purchase an NBA team? Do you know?
Billions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you mentioned in your little summary that you left on our voicemails, which was excellent, about the NILs, and you haven't mentioned that today, and I'm not really familiar with how, you still talking about those? Like, how does that tie into this whole thing?
What exactly?
The name, image, likeness. Is that another way you're going to raise money? I thought you mentioned NILs.
So, not exactly that. So, right now, there's two ways. The main way of funding will be the NFTs.
Yeah.
These kind of rounds of NFTs that we're gonna lay out. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to build this brand under Civitas FC. So, funds can be through merchandise sales, through, doing in real life events, all different ideas to, again, grow this brand, grow this movement with the end goal of buying a team.
And you have a podcast, you said?
Yeah.
And the podcast is for this movement?
Yeah, it's right now. It's our brand's podcast, so the Civitas FC podcast.
All right. So the Civitas, Civitas,
Right.
FC podcast, and you basically get on there, once a week?
Exactly, once a week. Talk about just news about what we're doing, what the community is doing at the moment, all the relevant, football news out in the world, mostly covering, European soccer, and then, bringing on guests to share their stories as well.
And that obviously is part of that is to build a community. Part of that is trying to attract investors.
Fake Jim would like to be a guest on that podcast.
Would you like Fake Jim?
Or real Jim. You can have him.
Yeah, you can have real Jim.
And then Monday at 4, I know he's available.
It's a great idea.
It is awesome.
I love the idea, but I got to see the NFT before I decide to invest. If it's not Paul's face, I'm going to be. It'll be a tough sell.
I think Ben would be a great owner, and I can see Ben. Some of these owners are crazy loons later in life.
Yeah,
I could see him being carried around in a rickshaw in the local town, ordering the peasants to mow the lawn.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the guy. I'm gonna be the Mark Cuban at every game, screaming, yelling at the refs. Oh yeah, that'll be me.
Well, that's the other question: is if I'm invested, let's say, in Civitas FC, and Civitas FC does now, would you take over whatever team you buy? Let's say it's the Liverpool. Actually, Liverpool's got a team in the Premier League.
They're in the
right?
Premier League.
All right, so a minor team, whatever. Middlesbrough? All right, the Middlesbrough, what's the name of that team?
I don't know.
All right,
FC.
Yeah,
They're all FC. Football club.
All right, so then would you be the Civitas FC in that community?
So that's a great point. Right now, Civitas FC is essentially, similar to City Football Group, which is the franchise. They're called City Football Group, but then they have a team, New York City FC. They have Manchester City FC. So we wouldn't be known as Civitas FC. We'd be known by the name of that local team that we're purchasing.
So it would be, let's say, London FC would be...
Middlesbrough would remain Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Middlesbrough, exactly.
And they'd be owned by the Civitas FC group.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I own the team. So I invest in Civitas FC, and I want to see my team when it plays. And you move all the way out to Italy, where I don't even speak the language. Mm-hmm. And from I have no proof that they have decent food out there in Italy.
You'll be all right.
Will I be okay?
Yeah.
Or let's say we go to let's say we go to Italy. So that means I've got to fly to Italy. Do I get like ownership seats, or do I get any? What perks of ownership would I get?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's exactly what we would establish by, holding these NFT, holding these membership passes. You would get that potential utility. Right now, for example, Crosshouse, which is the other organization that I mentioned that's looking to buy an NBA team, what they did with their NFTs, for their first round of NFTs, they actually didn't buy stadium tickets. They're virtual stadium. So you hold tiers of that stadium almost. So you can get, your club pass, you can get your, whatever it is, whatever level you want to be as part of that virtual stadium. That's kind of how they're doing it. So, there's the potential of doing it like that. There's the potential of doing it in a different form of NFT later on. So it's kind of like an add-on. So there are different ways to go about that.
Why don't we just do like a virtual league of virtual teams, and then I can sit in my bedroom with my headphones on and yell at Paul, "Pass me the ball, pass it to me." And Paul's like, "You got no skills."
You're the goalie, so I'm going to be passing
That's
to
a good
you.
point. Good point. That'll be a lot of goals right there. Own goals, Nardizzi. I find this idea fascinating. So you're saying for the virtual tickets of virtual stadium, we would be what? We wouldn't be in the stadium. We'd be watching it on video or online or.
I mean, this is just a representation of this NFT ticket. It has multiple utilities, but when it comes to them, let's say, actually purchasing a stadium, that NFT could now, be a representation of an actual ticket to the stadium.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just depends on how we actually, create utility for these NFTs, for these membership passes, and what it would actually include. So that's later down the line when we actually get
I came in not really understanding the crypto as you did.
Nobody understands it. He doesn't understand.
No, I understand
I guarantee
it.
Ben does not understand.
I do understand it more now, and I'm actually going to start accepting Dogecoin at my payphones. It's just another revenue stream.
I think you should.
I've actually bought Dogecoin according to my son Trevor. It was the best buy ever, and I bought 400. It's down to 2. It's in half. Thank you, Trevor. Trevor is no Rick Spencer, put it that way.
No, I bought crypto, and I think it's up 50% since I bought it. I mean, I could be reading it wrong. There's always a chance. I don't really understand it. It's like it said 100, now it says 150. I'm good. So it's a very small investment, obviously. What's typically on an NFT? What kind of an image do you normally get? I mean, there have been a lot of jokes about you get this or that. Or maybe they're not jokes. Maybe they're just observations. But what do you see for a picture?
They come in all shapes and forms. You literally have some that are just these random shapes, random squiggles. Most of the big NFT projects that, so many soccer players, NBA players now own are just, little pictures of apes. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're little, like, cartoons of apes.
Okay.
So those are really popular. So all these different cartoon images are really popular now, but again, they come in all different forms.
And if you buy an NFT, do you get anything that you can hang on your wall, or do you just show it people on your phone? Say, this is what I own.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just on the phone. There are different things you can do now to display them in your house by, let's say, getting like a digital, some sort of digital frame. But it basically is just a representation on your phone. And now Twitter, actually, they're changing their platform so you can show off your NFT as your profile picture, and you can identify which ones are actual NFTs versus just a screenshot.
What are your concerns about, so the stock market can have, a bad couple of years? What if you're rolling, you see you're close to buying a team, and then that market just tanks? Like, do you have a contingency plan for that? Because Dale can only kick in so much.
Yeah. A couple hundred. President of the club.
Yeah,
I mean, is that a concern? I don't know this stuff.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that one bit.
Really?
I think the general sports base is only going to be increasing.
Okay.
All leagues, I think, is just gaining more popularity. And the crypto space in general, I'm a big believer. I have a lot of money invested in it. I don't think it's going anywhere. If you're looking at 10-year window. Again, this is not financial advice, but I myself am in it, and
that
I
is
strongly
financial
believe
advice.
in it.
What do you think of payphones?
I don't know. I think you learned your lesson there.
And there are other people that do this. There's a basketball group. There's your group. Is there any other sports that you know of?
I know there's a one DAO that's trying to acquire a F1 team. I know they're trying to do something there. So I know there's an MMA one. Yeah, everybody just sees that this is a new space that's, opens up so many doors for quote unquote regular people to come and do these things. So we're seeing it in all different sports, all different sorts of organizations.
I can't imagine owning an NBA team with, soccer's great. Hockey players are great too. They're down to earth. You own an NBA team, 12 malcontents. So you got to deal with the Ben Simmonses of the world. Like he's going to be in the glory seat with soccer players. They're the best.
I don't know about that. I would say NBA players are probably. You want to talk about a bad group? You want to start with baseball.
That too.
They don't get hit enough. Anyway. It keeps you humble. Being hit keeps you humble.
Yeah.
And baseball players, it's the mental side, which means they go mental. And then, anyway, back to soccer. You think soccer players are a good bunch of guys?
Absolutely.
Good bunch of people?
Don't you think, Ben? Hardworking. It's a physical. You have to be in shape, and therefore they're going to work hard because you need to be in shape. The effort's there all the time.
Yeah, at least the people that I've been around, I think it's a good group of people for sure.
Like when you talk, you were a reporter. When you talk to reporters, they always say hockey guys are the best. They'll talk to you, and I think soccer is right up there.
Football players after a game are very good. Basketball players are okay. But soccer players, you gotta. I mean, they go through such a beating, falling on the ground, screaming in pain, getting up and limping.
Well, the team that Ben owns, he's going to say there's no diving.
Really? Can you do that? Can you prevent
no diving?
Everything on the up and up. Yep.
Every dive is a $10,000 fee.
It's really interesting because it just changes the whole social. This online world that people have created has just changed the concept of. I mean, if this is the case, it'll change the concept of ownership. It will give more power to a theoretically democratic system. Obviously, there's the other side of it says, well, will this be the what was the pump and dump last spring? GameStop.
Oh yeah.
GameStop, when they talked about the democracy and how they the Reddit Investors Club won and all this, and then turned out some people won more than others. But I think this idea, it's really interesting, and again, of course, it is. It's sort of if you're a fan of Manchester United or Inter Milan or whatever team, you can be a fan all over the world.
Yeah.
And with people in the 15 to 30-year-old age group living as much virtually as they are in reality, you really have created a whole different kind of a different reality, a different community, a different idea of what a community is than you used to have.
Definitely.
So, and I know this is part of your goal, right? You've got the community of soccer and the community of people who live online.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I think the whole idea with this and the whole idea with Web3 is that we are trying to transition people to understand that they can own more, they can get more, they can be incentivized more for different things that they do on the internet and even off the internet. And so that's the whole idea behind this.
Oh, that's a great idea. Do you want the tournament that starts this week? The urethra tournament. And also,
it doesn't start this week. It resumes.
I should also mention this. We're allowed to go a little longer. Dale's wife has actually paid us to go longer today, so she doesn't have to go out with him for Valentine's Day, and she gets to avoid him. So she's giving Paul and I a little bit of money. She's paying us in NFTs. Anything else you want to say about the thing before we talk about the tournament?
No. Again, just appreciate you guys having me on to share what we're trying to do. And for anybody listening, definitely check us out at civitasfc.com. That's CIVITASFC.com. And join our mission. We're doing big things.
Great. And when you're ready for when you've got the offering, let us know, and we'll give you a little plug. And our one listener and fake Jim will probably want to put some money in.
Sounds good.
Fake Jim is loaded.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So this tournament, of Champions. Is that the tournament that resumes?
Yes. Let me explain again, Dave, okay?
All right, because here's the thing. I've been dealing with a friend of mine from Haiti who's had difficulty with his passport. Anyway, go ahead. Explain what you
Well, you were talking about, I want to talk about the UEFA first.
Let's talk about the UEFA.
So in England, okay, when you win the league, people always say they should have playoffs, and they don't have playoffs, right? You win the league, that's it, it's over. But they really do have playoffs. The top 4 teams go into the UEFA Championship the following year, which is basically when you come in 4th place, you made the playoffs.
Okay.
And this UEFA Championship, to me, is like the Super Bowl of soccer, because Europe is the best soccer, right? Mm-hmm. So if you win this thing, you are, to me, the world champs.
Better than the CONCACAF?
Better than the CONCACAF. All right. In fact, Chelsea yesterday won the FIFA Club World Cup, which is they're the best club in the world. And what did they win? UEFA. When they won UEFA, we knew they were going to win the FIFA World Cup. They're the best team.
All right.
So this
Chelsea,
is the start tomorrow of the final 16 teams.
Chelsea, Mass.
Chelsea, yes. Chelsea, Mass. So what I did is I just broke down these teams. This will be brief, and if you guys think this is boring, you can leave. I'll just read this to myself.
Excellent. See you later.
But I'm going to just compare these teams to some of the NFL teams so people have an idea. People like you don't really know soccer, where these teams are at. So PSG's in the tournament playing Real Madrid. PSG's like the Rams. They went out and bought all these players. Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, similar to the Rams. Some say Messi's the best in the game, and the Rams have Aaron Donald, who people think's the best in the game. Mm-hmm. Real Madrid, to me, is the Bengals. You can disagree with if you want, Ben, but the Real Madrid, if Benzema doesn't score, they're not doing anything. He's their striker, and Burrow is the Bengals. As he goes, they go. Okay, so Manchester United. Mm-hmm. Okay? Let me just look at my notes here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Atletico Madrid is going to play Man United.
You might want to do your analogies to boxers because Dale is looking at you. He's sucking his thumb right now. He's got no idea what you're talking about.
I'm a sports guy through and through, David. No problem here. I understand exactly what he's saying.
What's a football made of?
What's that?
What's a football made from?
Pigskin.
All right, he passes.
So they play Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are the Dallas Cowboys. They always come up short, don't they?
Yeah.
They've been in the finals. They never win.
That's accurate.
Madrid has a striker, Luis Suarez, who has such a massive overbite, Dave, that his teeth have actually been whistled for offside. Okay? His teeth stick out just beyond the last defender as he's trying to get in. Offside. Contrast that with the QB for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Okay? He should have buck teeth to symbolize what he does at the end of games, chews up clock. We all saw that stupid run that he did. Mm-hmm. Cost them the game. Man City, that's the team I think is going to win. Ben, do you agree, or do you have a different team?
I would say they're most likely to win. Do I want them to win? Probably not, but yeah, I'd put them up there.
Okay. I think they're the Chiefs. Okay? It feels like they should have more titles. I think the Chiefs should have had 3 by now.
Yeah.
Man City have stars all over the field. They have a legendary coach. I think Andy Reid's a legendary coach, but he seems to have massive brain freezes in these games. And Pep has had massive brain freezes. Last year he decided to not use either of his 2 central midfielders and try some new formation, and they lost to Chelsea. All right?
All right.
And lastly,
finally,
Liverpool,
who
plays Inter Milan, who Ben mentioned earlier, one of his investors knows someone on he does a Twitter thing for Inter Milan.
Yep.
So Liverpool, to me, are the Buffalo Bills. The scariest thing in football to me is Josh Allen tucking the ball and running because no one's going to stop him.
Okay.
And Liverpool's front line is scary. Mo Salah, Sane, Firmino, they're phenomenal up front. So anyways, I got Man City winning the whole thing. I'm looking forward to it. This is it, Dave. This is the final 16 teams.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Ben's excited.
Oh, yeah.
Excitement is boiling over here, David. I'm with you, brother.
The most excited person here is Dale's wife, who's gone out with her girlfriends to the mall and has basically dodged Valentine's dinner with Dale because
she did just leave, didn't she?
Yeah.
She did. She's gone. She's gone. Never to be heard from again.
Let me tell you this: that was an NFT well earned. So that's good. So now, who's coming to play in New England this week?
So the Revolution are in the CONCACAF Champions League, which starts tomorrow.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I meant.
Well, it was supposed to start tomorrow, but evidently Haiti, Ben, did you hear about this? Had visa problems, so the games have been moved to Friday.
Yeah, and by the way, we always tape a few days before we release. So for those of you who are hearing this on the release date,
I think if Haiti just goes around Mexico and just walks right through Mexico to come right in. No visa, no nothing,
You need a
brother.
visa for it.
Yeah, just come on in. Get a free cell phone and a credit card.
That wall they're building is only like 2 bricks high right now. Just step over it.
So you were saying,
Yeah, so that could be gamesmanship. That could be the Revs playing a little. We don't like your visas. We don't like what you're trying to come in on, and maybe making it a little more difficult for them.
do you think maybe they're trying to make it a little warmer for them?
Well, no, because you know why? The weather for Tuesday is 7 degrees, and Friday it's 25. So yeah, if they were going to pick the colder day, it was tomorrow night. You ever head a ball in 7-degree weather, Dave?
I have not headed a ball in 95-degree weather.
When you had a ball
Not
at
intentionally.
7 degrees?
Actually, when I was in right field in Little League, I headed a ball once.
Yeah. When you had a ball in 7-degree weather, with or without a headband, you start muttering like Jim.
Regular Jim?
I want to mention, too, because you and Jim were picking on me last week, and I don't mind. We're peeling the onion back. We learned more about me. I'm sure Ben has some stories about me. Ben, if you want to tell them,
I don't
feel
recall
free.
making fun of you last.
I don't mind. But
Ben,
what
do you have
I
any good
noticed is we don't
comment?
learn anything
Only
about
good
you
ones.
two. You two are like little closed little
What are you
mollusks.
talking about? We know that Jim had a brain injury.
We know that Jim
he
gave up
was
15 PKs. That's all we know
15
about him.
PKs out of 15.
Yeah, 0 for 15 in college.
You would think he would have stopped one by accident.
Yeah. So what happened was we had the Revs president on, and he mentioned that he played indoor with me. And in a sentence, he mentioned that I wore high tops and a headband, and these two just loved it, and they were ragging the crap out of me. But in that sentence, what they failed to mention is that he said I was a bit of an indoor legend.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Wow.
Yep.
This is the president of the Revs, Ben.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as they're making fun of me, I said, all right, I can thin, thick skin, I can handle this. But what I did, Dale's a cop. He dug up, so he just called a skip trace. He got me the address where Dave used to work. I went over to the newspaper, and I asked the editor if I just wanted to look at the workspace where Dave Legend Rattigan used to write. And he just was like, that guy was a complete hack, that Rattigan guy. I said, I thought he won like awards for writing. He said, would once in a while put a little star on his forehead if he spelled his name right at the bottom of the article, but that kid was no legend.
I have the trophy at home. It says penmanship.
Then I went over to UMass Boston where Jim played soccer.
Yeah.
And I talked to the coach over there, and I asked him to name 8 or 9 of his top players ever,
Yeah.
and Jim was not mentioned. And I said, Jim Ruberti didn't make the list?
Well, not 8 or 9.
I said, Jim's not on there? And yeah, I've been doing comedy since, 1990? Ben, I started in 1990. That's, 32 years? That was the biggest laugh I ever got. I asked him, is Jim Ruberti on the list?
Did he spit his beer through his nose?
Killing. The guy literally burst his spleen laughing. So make fun of me all you want.
Listen, let me ask you.
Indoor legend.
Indoor legend. I think I assumed that he was talking sarcastically.
We can play the tape. You can bring the tape up next week.
Absolutely.
Play it back next week for our listener.
Indoor legend. I got a quick question. He was your soccer coach, right?
Yeah, in high school and in
In your
youth
high school, so
soccer.
you're like 18, 17 years old?
No, but I coached him as a youth and then in high
Okay.
school.
Yeah.
Did he ever buy a case of beer for you at the end of a game when you were like 15?
No, he did not.
Just
He did
checking.
not.
Statute of limitations on that is
He
about
did not.
20 years. I think it was about 5 years ago.
Do you want to ask Ben? Go ahead. If he has any dirt on me,
I'm sure he has dirt on you, but the question is, will he want to spill? I would not want to spill if I knew that I was trying to get your mug on my NFT to sell
that's
to
true.
people.
That's true.
How was he as a coach?
He was great. I loved him. Yeah,
So now we got
honestly,
great coach
I
and
thought-
indoor legend.
I thought we had a great relationship. I played
Oh, man.
extremely well under you. I thought
Did you
probably some of my best years.
Really?
Both at the youth level and in high school.
did you play college?
No.
Okay,
Only club soccer, not varsity.
Okay. Do you think that if Paul had done with you what he did for his sons, like tying the rope around your around your waist and driving you around the neighborhood to make you keep up, do you think it would have made you a better player?
I think he did everything he can to make me a better player, and I'm glad I didn't do anything that I didn't need to do. And everything worked out.
Did he bring you to the freezer and have you had a few balls?
Did
You
not
know what
do that.
I always suggested to Ben, but he wouldn't do?
What's that?
Just put the high tops and the headband on and get out there. You'll be a legend at this school.
I'll never forget the hills though. That's what we did at the youth level in high school. Those hills were a Paul Nardizzi classic.
You made him run hills?
Incline training. For sure.
Yeah.
I know what running hills is.
I didn't know if you knew what he meant. That's all.
Oh, you run up the hill to strengthen your legs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
No, but to get in shape. More it's just for fitness.
It's more for fitness than for speed?
More for me, yeah, I think it's more for fitness. What I'll say about Ben is, so I was more of a, that's what I'm looking for, cautious coach. I was always afraid of giving up a goal. And Ben was more of a take the ball and just attack.
Okay, so
I think will serve him well in this ownership role because I think most of the best owners are risk takers, don't you think?
Yeah, entrepreneurs. You've got to be a risk taker to be an entrepreneur.
Which is why I have payphones, because I am not a risk taker, and I fail at business. But seriously, yeah, he's got it. I remember sometimes like Ben, you're leaving the midfield open, but he would just take it, try to score, but he was always go ahead.
What position was he?
It's a midfielder.
Okay,
Yeah.
Center mid?
Yeah, and I coached his brother too.
Oh.
And Ben's not a big kid. His brother's like much smaller than him, and he was an excellent player too.
How tall are you?
5'5", 5'6". I'm
Okay.
a short guy.
I always like when people don't know how tall they are. It's like you've been measured all your life. You would think at a certain
Telling
point.
you, every measurement's different. I don't know how it happens, but every time you go to the office, somehow the wall changes or something.
I tell you, it's funny because you say that, but every time I go to my doctor's office and he weighs me, he gives me the wrong number. It's always way higher than it should be. Yeah. Then I got to listen to him with his, talk. Take care of yourself. I'm like, not this again. Not this again. Does your doctor tell you to take care of yourself?
Tries to advise me, but I feel like I take care of myself.
All right, fine. Did Coach Nardizzi, you ever yell anything interesting to the refs?
Definitely, there's been a few times I'd say, yeah, we got into some tussle with the refs before, definitely.
Did he ever say anything that you thought, oh, that's really funny and or smart? No, forget smart. No, forget smart. But did he say anything funny?
I don't remember now. It's been years, but
Then he didn't. Then he didn't. You would
I'm
remember.
more serious on the soccer pitch.
You're more serious on the pitch?
We don't need to be. We can joke around later.
All right.
It's all
From what
about,
I
it's all
remember,
about
I feel
winning.
like you gave it to the refs a few times.
Oh, the
for
refs.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't joke around a lot.
That's disappointing. You would
I
think
know.
you would say something.
Because most of my stories start with I was hammered, but none of my coaching stories start with, so I was hammered this one game.
What's it like to coach a team? I assume it was a small high school, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Division 4 or 5, maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
even remember.
You know, it's
One of the
funny.
lower divisions.
Brian Bellello, who was our guest last week, was talking about MIT playing soccer there and the fact that they knew what they were supposed to do, even though they couldn't all do it.
Yeah.
They knew where the ball was supposed to be. They knew where they were supposed to be. And I would think the same way. If you're a school of math whizzes, you would know your geometry, and so you would know where your passes would go to. Was that pretty much the case, Paul?
Yeah, I would say you could classify AMSA as a smart group of players.
Smart.
Yes.
They're smart players.
Understood space, reading of space, interpreting
Okay.
where somebody might move to. And, yeah,
Could they get there?
we were good.
Really?
I wish we went. You know what? We've talked about Sutton before.
Yeah.
That was our nemesis. We couldn't get by them.
Okay.
Right? We had that. We dominated them. Even coach even said to us, "You guys
were the-
dominated us today." They won the game.
Was that the same league?
They had a tough schedule.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before. They had a tough schedule, and we had an easy one. So when we faced them, they'd been through
Okay.
some hard matches, and our schedule was putrid.
What league did you play in?
I don't know, but it was a very easy league. So when we got to the playoffs and played serious teams, that was a definitely different game for sure.
Did you play? I mean, I know, like, for example, colleges, Mass School of Pharmacy plays Emerson.
Yeah.
Two schools that are not exactly.
I coached at
Sports.
Mass College of Pharmacy.
Oh,
For 2
okay.
years. I never won a game, and we never scored a goal.
You must have done a great job.
Yeah.
Did you field the team? I think that's the thing for a lot of schools, for a lot of colleges. It's fielding a team is that's where the success is. The fact that kids actually have the opportunity to play, even if they're not playing on a great franchise,
Right.
because the kids are not there for soccer. Except for
We'd never field. We practiced down at the Fens. That was our field.
Really?
One of the posts for the net was the head of a homeless guy. Not easy.
all right. I think that does that wrap us up.
That wraps us up.
I think
Ben,
at
thank
this
you for
point-
coming in. It's great to see you, and I love
Yeah,
this
you too.
idea. I'm on board.
Awesome. I'm glad. And thank you guys for having me.
And I'll you have me on board, and I'll commit Ruberti's money to you, depending on what the NFT shows us. If the NFT is,
Yeah.
you know what we want for the NFT. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I think a lot of people will, you take a realistic enough picture of Paul, people will think it's a cartoon character. All right, that's it for this episode of Soccerheads New England. We'll be back next week. We'd like to thank financial advisor Rick Spencer. Call him at 978-857-7573. And soon you too will live like Jim Ruberti and never have to show up to your job. Don't forget, for fundraising, the Soccerheads experience for your soccer team, league, club, or whatever, the Soccerheads will make your fundraiser more than a show. We'll make it an experience. Email us at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com.
Can I just make a prediction? Because we'll have to make predictions.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I said Man City's going to win. Who are you picking?
I will be picking PSG.
Okay. So I'm not sure Man City's going to win. But here's another prediction, and I feel really good about this one.
Yeah.
Jim will not be here next week. Do you like that one?
I do like
you
that.
with me?
I don't know if that's really a prediction. I think it's sort of, I would say if you're going to go out on a limb, you'd say Jim would show up for his own podcast, but I don't know that. I'll go with you.
Hey, what are you going with next Monday? He's got a week to prepare.
We something? We need Jim. Jim adds a little flavor to this
absolutely.
podcast. He does. I hope he shows up.
Yeah.
I hope he shows up.
Jim is
like the younger brother I never wanted.
You don't sound very hopeful.
Jim, I will say this: Jim shows up. You really. It's sad, Ben, that you missed him, because Jim is. He'll get in here, and we record in a dining room, and Jim gets in here. It's like a horse in a stall. He's just banging around, making noise.
Sounds like a what?
Paul will be like a horse in a stall.
Oh, earlier you said he sounds like a...
he sounds like a raccoon in a pizza box. All right, moving on. That's it. That's it for Paul Nardizzi, Ben Schwartzman, our engineer, Dale Lawrence, and the absent Jim Ruberti. I'm Dave Rattigan, and this has been Soccerheads New England.